Hi, welcome to the CCBC Library. This is Terry Gallagher, the librarian, and we wanted you to know that the library is here to help you with your assignments for psychology. So today we're going to look at psychology research and what is required for finding articles to support your assignments. So for psychology, um, apart from maybe past courses you took, you're going to have to look for peer-reviewed articles or what is also called scholarly sources. Some people also call it refereed articles. So those articles are at a higher level on the credibility pyramid. So um, this is the path we're going to take you on today so you can see how to do just that. So, why do you have to go that extra measure with psychology? Because with this level of course, you need to be able to support your claims. So, when you're doing an assignment, you have to have that data and evidence to back up what you're discussing. Again, evidence or resources, as if you've had library instruction in the past for Write 101 or another one of your classes, as you know, it comes at various levels. So your best research for psychology papers comes from academic sources. And again, we're talking about peer reviewed. So these have been stamped with approval and they're written by experts in the field. When you look at a peer-reviewed article, most times you're going to see several authors. It's a very rigorous process, and you will see that there has been a lot of expertise put into the publication. So these articles are primarily published in what are called scholarly or academic journals, and a panel of chosen experts reviews every word or all the data, the charts. If there are experiments involved, they review everything to make sure that it is worthy of publication. So what that means to you is this panel already does that work of creating the highest credibility. So when your professors see that you're using peer-reviewed journals, that has so much more power. And then again, it's actually required in some of the disciplines like health sciences and your psychology class. So, where do you find these peer-reviewed articles? So, of course, a good source for information is also always your textbook that you have through Cengage, and random Googling is not a good thing anymore, but you can find credible websites that actually have database and these peer-reviewed studies out there. One of my favorites, and this is for the other allied health and nursing and psychology, is pubmed.gov and the National Library of Medicine. And PLOS.org also has some open peer-reviewed sources. So you can do some looking out there if you want to go on the web. Of course, you have Google Scholar. And at the CCBC library, I actually have a section under the library. And I'm going to take you there right now so you can see. Here I have all my tabs open at the top, so excuse me. Whoops, I'm sorry. Here I'm typing, switching between laptops. But anyhow, I'm going to take you to the CCBC library in case you haven't been to those pages before. So you go to ccbc.edu and you choose the Campus Life tab. And under Campus Life, you will see Library. And when you open that up, welcome. This is where we are. Right now, of course, I'm away because speaking with you, but normally this chat will be on. If I am away and you need to ask a question about research, go ahead and send it. It will come to my email. This is where I sit in the library, and we would love to see you. But there's a lot of ways that we can do one-on-ones virtually too to help you with your assignment. So this kind of gives you just a little view of where we are. So where I want you to go right now is course-specific resources. And if you've ever been at other colleges or seen work in other educational institutions, a lot of times they call this LibGuides or library guides or pathways. We call it course-specific resources here at CCBC. We have a single page, so you have to alphabetically go down through the resources. But as you can see, there are sections by discipline. There's also a section I wanted to point out for you because you're going to be required to use APA, which is through the American Psychological Association, for the formatting and as the citation language for your papers. So APA is right here on as we go through the course specific materials. We have a really nice quick guide that from the CCBC library. We have a style guide, that's the 7th edition, that we also have from APA. We also can connect you to the OWL at Purdue, which offers what I always say is like the Bible of citations and references. So if you're using APA, you can go in and get a sample paper, look at how the PowerPoints look, how to do in-text citations. So this is right here for you when you're doing your references for your paper. Now, as I said, it goes down through the disciplines. So yes, I am taking you on a roller coaster ride, but we're going to go down all the way to psychology. And I have videos for a lot of, and you'll see there's a PowerPoint here about looking for resources that looks very similar to what I'm using in the video. The APA style guide, connections to the APA. There's some other websites here that you can look for and reference books and what databases we recommend you to use when you're doing psychological research. So keep course-specific resources in mind, and I'll add this video on there for you too if you ever feel like, oh, what did she say? You can go back and check. So I'm going to go back into the PowerPoint. So we visited course-specific resources. That's kind of, I always say, a springboard to your research. So you can look at other subjects also and see where we've collected past professors, past librarians, myself. We've collected a pool of information for you to springboard off of instead of going out onto the web browser and just randomly looking. So that's one area you can check too. But we also really want you to do your research here at the online databases. And the beauty of that is they're always available 24 hours a day. We contract them specifically for students, and that's where we're going to keep that information that is specific to people looking for your academic journals, refereed, scholarly, peer-reviewed. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to go back to the library, and I'm going to show you where we have the databases and how you can connect into them. I know some of you, this is repetitious, but I just want to make sure that everybody's able to get there. And the chat is also available on those pages. So if you don't know how to get in, we can chat with you and help you do that. So it's going to look like this. And right here, I have a handout that tells you how to search databases and a video tutorial, which is more general than what I'm talking to you about today. So what we're going to do is we're going to travel there right now again. And just to remind you, we're going to, and there I am with my 20 tabs, ccbc.edu again. And we're going to campus life, down to the library. And now we are going to go into research tools. And this is where you would also look for books. So if you are looking for, historical psychology studies or different developmental theories, you can also look in our library card catalog for books. But for most of your assignments, you're going to use the research databases. As I said, the databases here we would prefer because this is already gathered for you. So I always say that looking through databases is like shopping. I'm not really a big shopper, but that's the whole concept. You're going to want to read what a database offers. Down here at facts.com, there is a database that's issues and controversies. That does not give you the peer-reviewed articles, but it can give you certain subjects. Like if you were doing something on racism right now, it can give you a foundation and a bibliography with the research papers featured there that could springboard again or launchpad you to different sources. So where we want you to go is EBSCOhost. So EBSCO is actually a suite of databases that has various specialty and multidisciplinary databases beneath it. So I'm going to tell you which ones for psych research you want to use, and you go in this tab here. Okay, academic search. You can use master file. There are some popular publications in there too, and we're looking primarily for peer-reviewed research right now. So Health Source and SynOut. These are the nursing databases, but there's definitely a psychosocial component with nursing and with healthcare that we can find information there. Now, I usually only choose a couple of these. As I said, this is like shopping, so this is kind of a mall of databases. The first one's multidisciplinary, so it's going to have psychology subjects or whatever you're researching, but it's also going to have something about literature or maybe something for an A&P class that you have to find a study. So there's just a really wide variety there. So that's why I say to choose this and these two. That's what I usually start with. You can also use Eric, and I try to keep it, you don't want to shop in too many stores at one time. So I'll do a couple selection search and then go back and switch out and see what I can find in Eric. And also the ebooks. We have a nice choice of ebooks that will have psychology resources galore. So, and those are always being updated. So the ebooks that are in our EBSCO collection are oftentimes more recent than the ones that we have on the shelves. So if we continue here, and you can pick your subject. Usually if we're doing a composition class, I always say, you can start with a real wide subject. If I was doing opiates or opioids, I could do this. and see that I'm going to get 36,000 hits, and that's not where you want to start. Most of you are already past that, but I just wanted to indicate the place I want you to begin is at the advanced search. So we're going to go there first. Now, as far as why I put in opiates, addiction is definitely one of the things covered in the DSM, one of the diagnoses. So that you might be deciding for your psych project to be doing something with a diagnosis out of the DSM, or you may be doing something else. We'll do a couple searches and just give you an idea of what I want you to look for or what you need to look for. Okay, so instead of doing that opiates with 36,000 hits, maybe I want to do opiate addiction. And since we have those nursing databases in there, I want to make sure that I'm going to put the word psychological or psychology in there. What you can do, and I could do this with opiates too, is use that wild card symbol, and that's going to pick anything psychological, psychology, anything that starts with those words. You could actually do that with opiates and put the wild card there, and it would pick up opioids too. And this is a game of always widening and narrowing your searches when you're looking for peer reviewed or doing any kind of search, really. I liken it to like it's kind of like a scavenger hunt or a detective story where you're always trying to narrow down those clues. So oftentimes with addiction, there's a dual diagnosis involved. So maybe we want to add something else like dual diagnosis, anxiety, depression, but let's just see what we have now. The other place that's very important when you're doing these advanced searches, full text. You're looking for articles that you can read the whole entire peer-reviewed articles. And they're not always fun to read. They take some time. You're reading scientific research. But for you, it's worth the time because you want to have highly credible work that is that brickwork to build your article on. Now, this is a question. If you're in healthcare, you have to stay within 3 to 5 years. Even when I'm telling composition students, I tell them if they're doing the opiate epidemic and something in Western Pennsylvania, I tell them, to stay within that 3-year area. As far as what you're doing with psychology and addiction, you can go back a little bit further. Professor Ganska or your psych professor can tell you what they prefer. Biology is 10 years. So, but you want to stay with some currency unless you're doing historical perspective. So, and now we come to the very important check mark. We want scholarly information. So you can check that too. You can also pick different kinds of studies, different levels of studies. So let's see what we hit here instead of just doing opiate addiction. We're already down to 10. So when you pay attention to narrow and look at what you think you're looking for, then that's how you hone in on your subjects. So I talked a little bit about dual diagnosis, so maybe I want to add anxiety as one of those things that I'm looking at psychologically with addicts of heroin addiction or pill addiction. So okay, so if we do that, we might even narrow it some more. Okay, so, and you can look in here to make sure that psychological, if you look at these subjects, that this aspect is included. And of course, we've already selected peer reviewed. Every once in a while, you'll see like a single page article or a brief from a peer reviewed journal come up. those may be credible to a level, but they're not peer reviewed. Peer reviewed articles have depth to them. They're usually several pages long, as you see right here. So, if we wanted to look at this article to see if it's fitting with our topic, you choose it, and what you can do is you can look at it at PDF as a PDF, which would be looking at it just how it appears in Addiction Research, which is a peer-reviewed article. This is an original article, so it's an original research. If you see something that's a meta-analysis, that's even higher credible, more credible on the hierarchy of studies, because what that does is pulls in a lot of the original articles and combines and smushes together the information, so you get something that's the gold standard of research. But here, if this is what we were looking at, looking for, this article, you would, of course, you're going to go down and read it, and you can see that it's set up with, a methodology, analysis, results. There's going to be a conclusion. So there's a certain format to what you see with peer-reviewed articles. So, and that's what you're going to see in the sciences and psychology. Now, if you decided this is an article that maybe could help in what you're writing about, you can save it on Google Drive. You can print it. If you print it, download it so you get all the pages. Sometimes if you don't download, you just get the first page and you don't want to repeat your work. You also can email it to yourself. So if you wanted to email it, you could do that to your personal email or to your CCBC email. You can write the subject. I always tell everybody, if this was addiction article 1, number them so when it comes into your email. Like if you've chosen 5 articles really quickly and you haven't, reviewed them yet, then you can kind of keep track. Here is the other thing that you want to do. It defaults to Brazilian national standards as the language, and of course, that's not something that we use. So you can choose the APA citation. If you are back, you can also pull the citation here on this little newspaper. Not newspaper, it's like kind of a little piece of tablet paper. And you click on that and you can choose your citation style. Now, these are updated by EBSCO, but you still have to do your due diligence when you're utilizing something that's been computerized. I really notice when there's been translation involved, like maybe the study was done in another language initially, that sometimes things don't look exactly as they should. So you have to double check. But again, check your APA. You can mail it to yourself. You can print. And also you can create a folder that will stay for yourself if you want to keep several articles if you're doing an extensive research paper. And again, if you don't like this article, you can just go back to that result list. And remember, you can widen these terms. You can narrow the terms where you might want to switch to teens or adolescents or seniors. You can just really mix it up. Always be thinking of those synonyms and what you're going to do with that. You could I can do another search for you. Maybe if you weren't doing something with diagnoses, you could do something something like a subject like prejudice, where we can start with maybe the subject of racism, or you could do attitudes, racism, and maybe how adolescents are affected Sorry about that. And how does it affect their well-being, maybe, or self-esteem? You can go a lot of different directions. So if we had put in racism, we would have been getting thousands upon thousands of results. Here we go with, again, we want to do the full text, as long as I'm not doing a historic perspective. I like to stay in that 5-year range. You can always widen out. We definitely want scholarly. And you can look through the studies if you want to choose something else. You can even do limit page numbers under 10 pages if you don't like to read long scientific articles. And then there you're starting with 3 instead of those thousands. So that's just a simple way at looking at some searches. And again, using that term of psychological or with the wild card, that'll help you gear your searches toward what you're looking for that is pertinent to your subject. Okay, and I'm going to go back. And so we did that. We signed in with our username and password, went into EBSCOhost, those research databases that I said to shop for: Academic Search, CINAHL, Health Source Nursing, and don't forget those ebooks. You can find some good resources there. Also, if you go to beaverlibraries.org and you have your CCBC library card, you can go into Power Library, and that's probably a whole new video. So if you want to use the state databases, the premise is the same. I can always help you get there too, because they have a topic collection for psychology and an educator's reference. The psychology topic collection would be great for your research too. Now, I want you to mix up your terms, so I'm not going to play this now as I'm recording, but I'm going to include it when I send the program to your instructor, because if you want to watch this supplementary video, it also takes you through a real quick it's the perfect way of searching and narrowing your search. So remember, you're looking for full text, you're choosing scholarly, you want to match that database, shop for your topic. Okay, read the descriptions. Now, once you get into those articles, here are some really, really good tips for reading the articles. And I should have talked to you about that maybe when we had the article up. But one of the things I like to do is you want to read the abstract, because that's the whole purpose of the article. You want to see if that dovetails with the subject that you're looking for. So, and here are some other things. One of the things I do is read the intro and I read the conclusion. Then I'll read the beginning sentences of even graphs throughout. Look at the methodology. Was it one of those gold standard studies, or was it a single study with a small sampling? That's everything that you need to look for when you're you're grading. Once you're at peer reviewed, there's even hierarchy within there, but just be aware of that. I mean, your peer reviewed articles have already gone through the referee process, so you're safe. So once you find what you have and you're getting ready to build that puzzle together, if you're unsure, remember our academic coaches are wonderful with that. If you find a hole that you need to fill, you can always come to the library and say, you know what, I really need something. This would fill out my assignment. Come see us. So the other thing is you have to show where your information is from, just like we already know that at this point. But that is as important as writing the paper. And so that's where, again, you want to talk about the APA citations. We talked about instantly citing on the database. The OWL at Purdue, again, is a place to go. A lot of students will use Google Cite or Citation Machine. Again, that's another area where you have to make sure that the computer is getting it right. And of course, on course specifics, I showed you that APA style page, and the academic coaches are just wonderful for helping you. So, come see us at the CCBC library. I would welcome the chance to talk with you about your paper, chat live or leave a message, email us, or utilize our voicemail. And these are the current hours. Now, remember, this has been a very flexible year. If we go totally virtual, all the resources I've showed you, besides the physical books, are available to you 24 hours a day. So, come see us at the library so we can get you on the right track. Thanks so much for listening.